Open and organised with our own governments, but it's very difficult because a red line has been passed now with Palestine and with Gaza, and now we see this everywhere. Countries' boundaries, they talk about the territorial integrity of Ukraine. They don't care about the territorial integrity of Syria. Anybody can come in, a Uyghur Islamists can come in and be a minister in a Syrian government. They're not even Syrian. They're not even Syrian. So for the Syrian people, this is devastating. Their education system, their mosaic of different cultures and traditions now is being targeted like never before. So I don't know. Clearly, I think what we saw with the collapse of the Assad regime and government so quickly was that the people were tired and worn out. They felt there was nothing to fight for because their lives were so difficult. But they're going to get more difficult, and you always have to fight. I think that's the lesson of Palestine. To live is to resist. All we can do is cooperate and help as much as we can.
And what is your perspective for Gaza? I mean, it really looks at new settlements are planned now. It's obvious that this is planned. And I think when Donald Trump will come to the power, it will be even worse for the people in Palestine, especially in Gaza. So what is your perspective? What will happen to them? Will they all be put to Jordan and to Egypt? Or what is
I think that is clearly the plan, and it has been all the time to depopulate that area and settle it with Israelis. They will succeed in doing that for sure in a part of Gaza, I think, but it's not a foregone conclusion that can be consolidated. In actual fact, I think what the present juncture shows is the weakness of Israel, not its strength. They are being allowed to do what they are doing because of the US and Europe, but they are isolated in that region. They haven't met enough resistance in some ways on the ground, but that day will come. I mean, they can't hold in that area. It's just an impossibility. Sadly, though, that's going to happen at a huge cost, and there will be more when it's continuing, and Donald Trump isn't going to offer any, it's not going to get any better. Will it get any worse? Can it get any worse? I think more of the same, probably.
Without the support of Syria? Without the support of Syria, there was one of the only governments supporting it, probably.
Yeah, I know, it depends what happens in Iran, really, as well. Obviously, Hezbollah have been weakened as well in Lebanon. That's obviously a key part of it. So some of
Iran is
Palestine's allies have been damaged, but actually they haven't, because they've whole new allies in the working class across Europe and particularly across the US. And while those people haven't been able to organise politically in a manner in which their political ideas gain an expression, as Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter, that will come. Those people are not going to go away. This is like this generation's Vietnam, and they are going to have to find new ways of organising. So it's those allies amongst the anti-Zionist Jewish populations in America and in Europe who have to be the antidote to losing or the undermining of the influence of friends in the area. It's not easy, but there are no shortcuts, and in some ways the world is smaller and easier to organise now. And we all know what's going on in other areas, and actually the countries which contain the majority of the world's population would agree with us. They are on the side of the people. It's just as powerful in terms of the imperialist powers, particularly the white European and American ones are. But they're on weak ground. Trudeau is gone. All the governments in Europe are in total upheaval. Okay, Trump's back, but is he really? Loads of Americans are. So it's a period of flux and instability.
But my last question, what do you expect now with Trump for not only Europe but for the people of the world? I think, in my opinion, because of Syria, because America got victory, they are now more arrogant and more brave, because he's talking about he wants Greenland, he wants Panama, he wants Canada. So what do you expect for the world now?
That's kind of, it's funny in some ways, except it's not, it's serious as well. But actually the upheaval amongst the European establishment and ruling class and their absolute horror at Trump is nearly a positive in his favour, because what it means is that under Biden and the Democrats, they subsumed very much European policy. Under American policy, they were like that. Trump will break that up a bit, which I think is a good thing. For me, I think that is a help. And obviously Trump is awful, but he is more brazen, and he will force, because he shows imperialism for what it's really like. It's all of its ugly brutality. That's an education for people, which it's hidden with the Democrats. Palestine changed that, but they were able to get away, but they can't now. Imperialism and capitalism is being revealed, and if he does move in on Greenland, the people would say, well sure, why would anybody help Europe? They didn't care about the territorial integrity of Syria. Why should the world care about the territorial integrity of Denmark and its vacant colonies? Okay. You want to take over Canada? Let the Americans take over Europe. What are the Europeans going to do about it? Absolutely fucking nothing. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to go to war with America, but that's going to cause all sorts of problems for them as well. And they'll be more forced to look at different ways of organising and different forms of going back to international law, of multilateral agreements, of working with different countries, and they can't just depend on the US. That's a good thing, I think. I hope he does keep going on about it. And it's quite funny if he does.
Thank you very much.